G'day, Julian here again, and welcome to day 6 of the 6 key ingredients of a successful Pythonista. This is a special day. It is also the final day, so congratulations on making it this far, and thank you for sticking it out so long. I just know you've picked up so many amazing things along the way, and today will be no different. Today we're going to talk about embracing imposter syndrome. So we'll start off with what is imposter syndrome, and we'll talk about why you need to embrace it, how you embrace it, and maybe another step after that. So stay tuned, let's get into it. Alright, welcome, day 6, embrace imposter syndrome. This is a big one. It won't take too long, but it's definitely going to be impactful. So the first thing we'll cover is what is imposter syndrome. If you haven't heard of it, imposter syndrome is just that feeling that you get when you feel that you're not good enough. You know, when you feel like, who am I to be doing this? Who am I to be pushing code? Who do I think I am for even having the thought that I can be a software developer? I just do this little stuff here and there. I'm not good enough. That's essentially what it is. So when you have those doubts, when you have that self-doubt, you feel like you're an imposter, that's imposter syndrome. And it's a big deal because, as you'll likely find if you look back throughout your life, many of the things that you have done when you really achieved something that you deemed to be a success, you likely felt like an imposter before you did it. There would always be that essence of self-doubt that going into it. Could even be running a race. You know, do I really think I'm good enough to win? Those are the sorts of things we say to ourselves when we just don't have that self-confidence, when we have imposter syndrome. And it's not a nice feeling. And it's one of the biggest causes of things like a lack of productivity, a lack of growth, and just stalling and stagnating in your career and everything that you do. Your life tends to grind to a halt because you feel like you're not good enough to move into anything else. And it's a big problem, very big problem. So what we recommend is that you embrace it. Now, what do I mean by that? So first of all, why embrace it? Being uncomfortable indicates growth. That is a big deal. That is one of our favorite terms to use, favorite sentences, whatever. The point is, if you are uncomfortable, if you are working on something that puts you out of your comfort zone, something that challenges you, something that makes you nervous because you're thinking, am I good enough to do this? That means you are growing. That means there is something happening that is challenging you. You are going to learn from this. Even if it's a failure, you are going to learn from it and you are going to grow as a result. So putting yourself out there and getting uncomfortable is a surefire way to grow. It is also a way to push through the imposter syndrome. So that's why we say embrace it, because when you have imposter syndrome, it is likely because you are faced with an uncomfortable situation, something that by doing it, you will have some growth. For example, giving a talk at a Python conference. I'm going to get very specific here. There is a lot of fear that many people would have going into that. Who am I to talk on stage at a Python conference? Who am I to talk about Python to anyone? Who am I to get up at a conference and present on a different topic, even if it isn't Python? Those sorts of thoughts hold you back from that uncomfortable situation of getting up on stage, presenting, and no matter what happens, you will grow from that experience. You will get some valuable experience, and that is the important thing to remember. That's the takeaway. But that won't happen unless you embrace that imposter syndrome and say, you know what? I get it. I feel like an imposter. I acknowledge this is imposter syndrome. I can do this. I'm going to get uncomfortable and I'm going to grow. Now, every time that you push yourself, every time you get out of that comfort zone, it makes it easier that next time that you do it, just a little bit easier next time you do it. So again, we'll take that analogy of or that example of presenting on stage. If you do it once, you know that you've broken that boundary. You know that you've pushed that line out a little bit, and you know you can do it again because you survived the first time. Even if it doesn't go spectacularly well, you know what went well and you know what didn't. And so next time that you go to present, it'll be a little bit easier. Being completely honest, these sorts of videos that I'm recording right now took a lot of guts to start doing. When I first did it, I was scared. I feared what people would think. There was that whole imposter syndrome there. Am I good enough to be doing this? Who am I to be talking about this stuff to people? But pushing through it, and now it comes naturally to me. By getting uncomfortable. I've had growth in this area, and I've built confidence, and now when I go to record these videos, I'm way more confident. It's much more easier. On that note, as you grow, you no longer feel that imposter syndrome, and something else takes its place. Okay, so that bar moves. So that limitation that was holding you back, say recording these videos or even getting up and presenting, whatever it is, as you grow and you get more comfortable with it, you don't feel that imposter syndrome because you feel like you've earned your place. You feel like you've justified it. You've built your confidence. And what happens is something else takes its place. So yes, you are now comfortable with presenting, but then there's going to be another hurdle ahead of that. Now that you're comfortable presenting, what makes you uncomfortable? Well, it might be presenting at a much larger conference. It might be presenting at work where you're talking in front of people that you know as opposed to a bunch of strangers. Whatever it is, that bar of fear, that bar of imposter syndrome moves. And that's important because that shows growth. So you need to embrace it. When you recognize it, when you know where the imposter syndrome level is going to kick in, when you know where that bar is going to kick in, that is where your growth is, and you know what to pursue. Because if you feel it, that's something you need to try. My favorite thing is by pushing through it earns respect, which creates opportunity. So you don't always do it just for the respect, right? For the credibility and everything. That's fine. That's a byproduct. But the most important thing is by earning that respect, by getting out there and doing things and people think, you know what? This person knows what they're talking about, or kudos to this person for getting out there and trying, because a lot of people wouldn't do it, right? When you do that, it creates opportunity because people remember you, people think about you, they talk about you. And this doesn't just have to equate to things like presenting and getting out there in a public forum. I'm also talking about pushing code, right? If you feel like an imposter for pushing code, well, you need to build that confidence. You need to start pushing code. And let's take a code review as an example. You push code through a code review, it gets reviewed, it comes back. What are you going to do about it? You're going to grow by making the changes that they recommend, by taking the feedback that they give and learning as you go. And next time you put that code review in, you push code in for a code review, you'll be that little bit better and you'll earn their respect. And one day the opportunity will come. That opportunity might be in the form of another job, might be in the form of a job offer, it might be in the form of something you completely don't expect. But pushing through earns respect, which creates opportunity. That's the important part. And my favorite one of all is it builds momentum. Don't let it go. Once you've got that wind in your sails, once you've pushed through that initial wall of imposter syndrome, and you will feel good, you will feel excited, you feel like you just jumped off a cliff and survived. Maybe not that extreme, but you will certainly feel that adrenaline rush of, wow, I can't believe I did it. And I can't believe I succeeded. It's amazing. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Well, once you feel that, don't stop. What are you going to do next? Once you have that energy and that excitement, don't let it fade. You need to push, you need to act on it and keep going, because that's how change happens. That's how success is built, on the back of other successes. Now, taking the first step is always the hardest thing. So what are you going to do? You're going to start small. And I know that's obvious, I get it, but the thing is, it's the truth. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to start small, right? You don't just necessarily jump out there and push 50 code reviews in a row. You just want to start small. Test the waters, be kind to yourself, build up on that confidence one step at a time. It's not a race. It doesn't have to be the craziest thing you can think of to get you out there. It can just be nice and easy. That way, it's easier to start, okay? Because if you're tackling something huge, if you're trying to do something extreme to beat this imposter syndrome, you're going to procrastinate because all that fear is still there. But if you just do something small, so take these presentations, they started as blog posts, much easier, right? It's not my face on camera, I'm not talking, I'm not creating slides, nothing like that. I am literally just typing words into a blog. I don't even have to go back and check the blog for comments, right? So it's starting small and then you build on it as you go. Next, reward yourself on completion. So when you have done it, when you've successfully pushed through the imposter syndrome, big or small, reward yourself for doing it. Now, I'm not going to go into the reward system. You figure out what works for you. But the reality is, if you don't reward yourself, you're not going to feel great about it. You're going to just feel burnt out after a while. So reward yourself. Learn that there is a positive to finishing this other than the growth. It might be take the weekend off. It might be go out to dinner. It might be have a drink. Who knows what it is? But the reality is, if you reward yourself, you'll be more likely to do it again. And this one's my favorite one when it comes to taking the first step and even the consecutive steps. Get an accountability partner. I won't go into detail on the accountability stuff because that's a whole lesson in itself, and we cover that in some of our other material. But the reality is, getting an accountability partner will make you accountable for the things that you say that you're going to do. So if Bob is my accountability partner, when I come to him and I say, Bob, I'm going to have this completed by Friday night, then it's not just me I'm letting down if I don't do it. He will be sitting there expecting something from me on Friday night. And if I don't do it, not only do I let him down, but I lose that little bit of credibility. I lose that trust where he says, well, Julian said he was going to do it, but he didn't get it done. So that's one way of having an accountability partner. The other way is not so negative, but rather having them support you. So if I say to Bob, I want to work through and learn this, let's say the pyramid framework for web development with Python. If I want to learn that, having an accountability partner in Bob, he might come to me and say, how did you go with that today? What did you learn about pyramid today? Can you tell me anything about it? If you didn't do it, why not? How can I support you on that? What can we do? What can we run through with your daily schedule to find reasons why you didn't do it? That's the other role of an accountability partner. Not just to crack the whip and make you feel bad for not doing it, but rather to support you through it. And that's why they're such a powerful tool, for lack of a better word, to use to break through imposter syndrome. When you have it, take one of these steps to break through it, and you'll be much better off for it. Now, this is the fun part, reporting in. Talking about accountability, what I'd like you to do, this is the actionable step for this one, for this day. I want you to take a step, something that makes you uncomfortable, something that you would consider to be your imposter syndrome moment, something that makes you feel like, I'm not confident enough to do this. Could be work, could be coding, whatever it might be. I want you to take that step. Start small, even challenge yourself with an accountability partner, prepare a reward for yourself, whatever it might be. I want you to try something, okay? Once you've done that, I want you to share your first step with me, okay? So what I'd like you to do is reach out to me on LinkedIn there or Twitter, whatever it is that you have, and I want you to reach out and tell me what it is that you did. What is it? What is the thing that you pushed through? What is that imposter syndrome feeling that you pushed through? What was the task that you got done that has led to your little bit of growth? Doesn't have to be big, can be small. Can be big if you have an awesome thing to try, but by all means, don't feel intimidated, just start small. And check in with me. I want to talk to you about it. I'd love to have a little candid chat as you tell me all the exciting things that you might have tried, and we'll go from there. So get out there and push through that imposter syndrome. So there you have it. There's day 6, embracing imposter syndrome. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Just remember that imposter syndrome is insidious. It will hold you back. It will hold you down. So make sure you take that first small step to push through it, embrace it, accept it, and make sure you start pushing and growing. Remember, being uncomfortable leads to growth, and that's the important part. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, when you push and you get this stuff done, I want you to send me a message on LinkedIn or Twitter. The links are below, and let me know how you go.